A world arranged in the line of art, a world of meaning can impart, a rhythm flowing through the pace, a beauty that belies its ace, with imaginary that paints a scene, a story that in verse pristine, a language that transcends the norm, a melody that keeps us warm, a purpose hidden in the rhyme, revealed only in the due time, a message that contains a heart, a work of magic, form, and art. So read again and look with care, find the beauty hiding there, and see that in these lines of thought, a poem is what you have just caught. Hello, fellow mates. Welcome to our podcast, Experiences. I'm your host, Sujit. Thank you to all the students who are dedicated to learning and growing with us. I don't know how many of you like connecting words with life events. I love hearing someone who expresses emotions, life experiences, and everything abstract about our life through the means of writing. Today's guest is very special and she's really good at it. She's from Grand Bahamas. She's author of the self-published poetry book, Say It All, which is sold on Amazon. She's a first year English major and she has published a story in the Bahamas National Anthology entitled Memory of the Fish Pond Mermaid. She aspires to become a diplomat and has interest in foreign cultures. Let's welcome our guest for today, Angel. Thank you so much, Angel, for coming.
Thanks for having me.
I'm pleased. So, Angel, first tell us about how you thought of publishing a book when you were about 17 years old. In other words, what motivated you to do this?
Well, I was at school and I just had a big Word document full of a lot of poems, and I just wrote for fun at that time, but I started doing speech and elocution competitions, like in our school competitions we'd have like sports day and other stuff like that. And then my vice principal at the time, she just jokingly says, "You should publish a book." So one day I was bored in summer and I was like, I have all this poetry, and I started going on YouTube, how to edit a book, how to edit the book, how to make the cover, just on simple stuff like YouTube, Canva. I used all the stuff that people use every day, and that's how I came up with the book.
So you learned everything by yourself after that, your editing and how to make it publicly available, how to sell it. So you learn all this stuff by yourself.
Yeah, basically, I learned from YouTube tutorials, and the great thing about Amazon is that they have Kindle KDP, so it's just once you formatted it and you get somebody else to edit it. I got my old English teacher to edit it, and then you just send it to them, they'll proof it, and then they print it. So I just had to make sure that I had mostly everything together. My mom did help me with the cover because like I made it and she helped me.
Amazing.
Yeah. I even did like the illustrations in my poetry book. I connected my drawing pad to the computer and I just doodled.
Amazing. It's a lot of things to do when you are 17 years old. And I can remember when I was 17 years old, I was like riding motorbike with some friends, like we were going to do robbery.
No!
Yeah, of course. We did that, and we even stole something from somewhere. I cannot remember.
I don't think you should admit that apply to me.
But we were pretty cool at that time.
Okay.
So that was amazing. You published your book, and how many copies did you sold at that time?
Well, I had a book signing in locally. I wasn't really into, like, I didn't advertise a lot. I just wanted to do it for myself. But I sold about like 120 copies at my book signing.
Yes.
And then what I did is I put it in stores locally, like in the Bahamas, at the main textbook stores. You go for like school supplies and stuff. I put it in those stores. And what they do is they take some profit from it, but for local artists or authors,
Okay.
you get most of it. And then I just have it on Amazon, and I get people coming in, even as like early as last week. Someone ordered it. So.
Wow, that's amazing. And if you guys want to read a poetry book by a student, I highly recommend you to go into Amazon and search her book, and it will be ordered to your door. So that's amazing, and I'm very fascinated by what you did. I hope someone had told me about writing books, go and write. I could have also developed
You
interest,
still
right?
can. You still can.
Yes, I still can, and I'm working on it
Okay.
after hearing from you. So, when I shifted from Nepal to here, I've had a lot of experiences. I mean, changing thoughts. It's a complete different place, right? And I also know that you are first year university student.
Yes.
If I'm correct, yes.
Yeah.
So how has the experience been from being in the Bahamas to living here in the Acadia, a small city here?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is obviously the weather. So I had to get used to that. The Bahamas is subtropical region, so I'm used to the sun and sweating. So getting adjusted to the cold was it was a ride, I'll say that. And academically, I kind of enjoyed going to university because in high school I had to take 9 courses year round, and in university it's more like
Wow.
5 a semester. So I really enjoyed that. So I had more time for time management and stuff like that. Of course, the courses are more hardcore,
Yes, of course.
and you
Yeah.
learn more, but it felt not easier, but I felt more in control. So the adjustment wasn't horrible. It's something that I definitely got into the groove of, but it was different.
It was of course different than the high school, but I was amazed hearing that you studied 8 courses in your high school.
Yeah.
So it must be like a good trade-off for you coming to the university.
Yeah, I
it
was
must be like
really
equal.
happy. It's just like year round, 8 courses. I didn't like it that much.
That's great. So I really agree with that idea that the weather is quite different here than that in Bahamas, and in my places too. It's not like this, and I was having hard time coping up with the cold climate here.
Yeah.
And the good thing is I don't need perfume in this climate. I don't sweat, so I don't need perfume. So
Yeah.
that saves off some of the cost. And yeah, actually yes, it's true. So I want to know that you are highly into poetry.
Yeah.
So did your poetry changes with the change in the geographical shift? Now this is a new environment, right? And I'm very familiar that the poets also make their poetry from the environment and where they live, right? And did your poetry change from there to the Bahamas to here? Is it different now?
Well, that's a really interesting question because I feel that my poetry has matured without like any influence from the environment. Like I've gotten better at my style choices in poetry, but as for the environment having any effect on my poetry, in some ways. Like I wrote a story about it's entitled Under a Different Sky, and it's just comparing how as a university student the skies in the Bahamas are different from the skies in Wolfville, Nova Scotia.
It is.
And basically the premise of it is I miss the Bahamian blue sky, and it's not as frequented in Wolfville, but the night skies that I see in Wolfville, I can't see it in the Bahamas because Wolfville, like the skies we have here are really, really nice, and
Wow.
you see the full moon and everything. So I thought that was pretty cool, and it just symbolized the transition, and you love every process you go through. So
That's amazing. Everything changes with time, and when you change places, you get way more experiences than being in the same place for a longer period of time. And it has also happened to me, and lot of things changes, and I feel like I'm more mature now.
Yeah.
In a very short time frame. It's been just 8 months I've been here, and I feel like I'm way older than.
It's been 8 months already.
Yes, and time goes fast here.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
I do.
You know what? I want to listen to some of your poet. Could you please give our audience glance over your beautiful poets?
That's no problem.
Yeah.
I'll read.
Thank you so much.
I'll read one of my pieces for you guys. Okay. This is my book, Say It All, available on Amazon.
Yes, please buy that.
And the poem that I'll read for you guys is entitled Founders. She was the hour Miss 8 cloud and spat out moon. The minute sun shred and its remnants gave birth to tiny yellow hues. She starry-eyed, cheeks aglow with galaxies. Her dimples the dippers, the constellations her beauty molded from the silence that gave way to lonely. She was night, mother of dreams. And he, a field dweller, licking backs of men, molten honey gaze, peeking behind curtains and dallying in summer wind. He was the rhythm of spring, with the change of fall, but he who wielded the sun and mastered the seasons also longed for a companion.
Wow.
He was day, father of dew. On axis they move, on axis they rotate, never to find, to reach, or link. But night alone is as right as she'll ever be, a blanket to lonely souls that look to her for sleep. And day is right as he'll ever be, brave as a legion of men, he who coaxed the earth's eyes awake and gave dreamers a vision. Instead of finding each other, they founded the world. Thank you.
That's amazing. I really liked it, and I know the audiences also liked it. It's an amazing.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. I have no words to describe how beautiful it was. So, so with that said, I have one more question for you. Do you think that the poetry changes someone's perception and ultimately someone's life? What do you think about it?
Well, I think poetry is very interpretive. So it's my poem, I may have written it, but essentially it becomes a next person poem as well, because they put their feelings in it, they understand it, how it applies to their life, and consequently they change their life based on it. For instance, if it's like a motivational poem or like a deep confession that they can relate to, then they see that someone else experiences something like that and they don't feel alone. So it is a way of like lifting them up. So I would say it can change a person's life. Not everyone, but some people.
That's an astounding way of describing things, and I also believe that the poems are very similar to the life experiences that we all are facing, and if we deeply look into the poem, we might find ourselves in the poem sometimes, and the poem itself gives us some tips on how to cope up with things in life. I have felt it, and I know many of you have also felt it. So thank you so much, Angel, for joining me, and I have had a very good time with you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
So this is the end of the podcast here. Next time we will return with another exciting topic with our exciting guest speakers. If you are interested in joining us with some thrilling stories or answers, please feel free to contact me at my email, which would be in the screen below. Until then, stay happy, stay healthy physically, mentally, emotionally, and of course, spiritually. Adios.